So I'm going to let my super awesome couch take that part, and then I'll be able to start talking about the run after that. So, yeah, I'll give you a count of three. 3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
So right away, we're going to see Tina do one of my favorite strategies. It's called the snake sneak, and right there, looking cool. But that wasn't just for swag. That was actually the beginning of a RNG manipulation that's pretty complicated. So the precise number of hits that Tina is going to take is very specific and designed to pull a beach boomerang. So we'll talk more about that as we approach it. But everything here is calculated right up to the number of hits, the amount of damage. There's going to be some intentional damage. And here's our first boss.
Right there, you saw her going through that door after switching into retro mode. So this version of the game is for the Nintendo Switch, and it's a reimagining of Wonder Boy 3 that was originally on the Sega Master System. And one of the really great features of this game is, even with all these gorgeous visuals, they paid homage to the original graphics, and so you can switch into retro mode at any point with just the press of a button. And it actually skips a little cutscene when you enter a boss room. And so you'll see her doing that right when she's about to enter really any boss room in this run.
It's a kind of a sad thing because, you know, like we created banners which are HD with like beautiful bosses there that Ben created, and we don't get to see them because of this run, so I'm kind of disappointed, you know.
I guess we've done a little bit of a disservice by not mentioning who's actually on the couch. So I'll start from worst to best. On this side, I'm Author Blues.
And I'm Ellipsis. I run this on PC.
I'm Sébastien Ronce. I'm part of the developer team from Lizard Cube who created this remaster. So Lizard Cube, we're 5 people total. So the company was created by Omar and Ben. And we are 5 people with Michael, Romain, Ben, Omar, and myself. And so we are all fans of the original, which got released in '89 on Sega Master System. And so, I got the chance to work on this remaster, and we've been loving it since then.
And this was a remake of Wonder Boy 3?
Yeah, absolutely. Wonder Boy, which is a complicated license, but that was actually the sequel to Monsterland, Wonder Boy 2, where basically at the end of the game, as we could see here, you defeat the Mecha Dragon, except in the second version of Wonder Boy, you don't get transformed into a lizard and the game ends. And here, that's just a sequel to it, where you get cursed, and the entire point of the game is to go grab the Salamander Cross, which will bring you back to your human form. So a lot of people who play this game, they all say,
so that's going to affect the RNG, so...
that's for the boomerangs later.
Yep.
But a lot of people who play this game say, hey, I'm now a lizard man, I shouldn't get that cross because I kind of like that skin.
And she got a beach boomerang. Very well done.
Got it anyway.
Yeah, yes. I was looking at this run, and I realized that you never go into the water, actually.
Yeah.
As part of this. It's kind of sad that...
but we do swim.
Yeah, that's true. You do fly swimming also later.
Yeah. So Tina's done an enormous amount of work on this game to figure out exactly what needs to be done to get that beach boomerang and to get the some further manipulations that we're going to see. So there's a second boomerang coming up. When we do save and quit, like we just did here, that resets the RNG.
Exactly.
So that's very helpful to us because the next sequence is pretty short, and it gets us another guaranteed boomerang coming up.
Yeah, the boomerang is kind of the ultimate item in the original as well.
Yeah, it's the only item that you can. They're all consumables, but as long as you catch the boomerang, you get it back.
Yep, exactly. I'd say it's pretty powerful because that's just a range attack that is useful for the samurais later also.
So you're going to see intentional damage coming up right here. And that is to manipulate so that this snake drops a boomerang.
Yeah, she's now covered.
And even though we have 2 boomerangs, the lizard can only throw 1 at a time. We'll see 2 boomerangs later. It's a very powerful weapon.
Yeah, that's actually there's a reason for this. Is because like the original had a certain number of sprites which could be displayed on the screen. And for each character, you could have 2 items, but the lizard has already its lizard fire coming out. So that was considered like a sprite.
Okay.
And that's why there is a limitation there, and we kept it.
It's actually really interesting. I've seen a lot of the material that your team has published about how much care you guys took to make the remake faithful to the original. We'll see that a lot more going forward. I won't spoil it, but it's actually really amazing how much work was put into making sure that this game matched the original in almost every conceivable way, even down to just studying the physics in excruciating detail to make sure that the physics played almost exactly the same way here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we didn't want to change really what the game was. There's a lot of like remakes out there who kind of like are inspired by the original, but here we wanted almost a one-to-one remaster. And we did change a few things, like for instance, the lizard can now crouch while still pressing right and left. If you press down in the original, you couldn't do that. We changed the mouse physics, as we'll see later, but really most of it is pure verbatim the same.
Yeah, it's actually really wonderful to read exactly how much was gone into making that so close to the original.
Well, I mean, being Zol fans of the original, we didn't want to change it. Actually, there's a few things that we did change. Like for instance, some levels we added little enemies here and there, and every time like we were doing it, it was kind of a struggle for me. Omar was always saying like, "Oh, well, this just makes it better here," and I was always fighting him because I didn't want to change it.
Right.
If it's for the best, we just we were all discussing with the team and we're like, okay, this makes sense. Let's just do this.
This is a good time to mention that some of us have committed to $25 donation per potion that is used for this run. So the potions are in the upper right corner. So you start with 1,
Yep.
and we just use 1 there.
Actually, in the original, you start with none. We
Yeah.
changed that, and we wanted to be nice to the newcomers.
Yeah. And save and quit right here.
Right.
And this transforms us to the mouse. And the mouse has more movement abilities, so
Yeah, actually, we changed a bit the movements here. You see when she just jumps on that wall here. The original like reset your velocity, and so that was kind of awkward when trying to like move from ceiling to like to the floor to different walls. And now it's a lot faster and kind of more fun to play.
Yeah, for sure. The mouse movement feels really nice. I feel like a lot of times when you have a character that they can climb on walls and ceilings, it can be really awkward and clumsy the way you transition between different surfaces, but it actually feels really fluid in this game.
Yep. That was exactly the intent.
So the route calls for the secret chest here, and we're going to use that to buy a power-up. It's going to be the sword that increases damage. So, of course, there's defense items that we can get, but because we're speedrunners, there's like, nope, just glass cannon. So that's the Shogun Blade. The mouse will now do more damage. But everything
Yeah,
will...
so it's worth noting most of this run is going to be a glass cannon run, which is fairly similar to the world record route, but we are picking up 2 hearts, and towards the end we'll be picking up 1 extra bit of armor that's going to help us out.
Yeah, so the world record route is actually a 1 heart run now that Tina did. I think the marathon route is going to be 3 hearts. 1 heart is very, very hard. A lot of things will just take a full potion.
It's funny for me because I played this game so many times before and during the development, and just watching these speed runs for me, it's always crazy because I didn't know some of these things were even possible, and it's amazing to see Tina since the beginning. Like she was playing this. I was on Twitch quite a few times, just trying to understand what she was doing and supporting her. And
yeah, when this game came out, me and Tina were both really excited to get to play it, and we did a blind race of it. And I think it was actually you who stopped into both of our channels and watched the blind race and kind of gave us some gentle nudges during some of those long segments of being stuck at one spot for hours.
yeah.
So what you just saw there was some marathon safety strat. So get a third heart and buy some potions, and that will help tremendously for the next section, which is pretty difficult casually and still kind of scary in a couple of places for a speedrun. The nice thing about the rooms like this is if you move at the same speed, the fireballs are always going to be in the same places.
Yep. Yeah, and the fact that now you can just jump back and forth without, you know, like starting from scratch with your velocity, that helps a lot also. So that's why I was wondering, like, actually the original game must be a lot slower for speedrunning, just because of that. Do you guys actually know the time for the original? The world
So
record?
the original has a couple of extra glitches, and the way that the one of the items that I'm going to be picking up later works a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So it actually does end up being faster
Yeah,
for
that's-
comparable routes. This is a route that really doesn't have a good comparison in the original, but the no major skips route, which would be pretty comparable to all bosses in the original, this is a little bit slower.
So I guess you're referring to the Tasmanian sword, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. We can talk about that when we encounter it later.
And that right there was the power of double boomerang, which really just chops through those guys really fast.
Yeah, a lot of these enemies are meant to slow you down severely, so just being able to take them out with double boomerangs is really significant.
I love the music in this section.
And this room is very difficult, in my opinion. Tina makes it look easy. Oh,
Nope. Not making it look easy today. But these double sword swing strats, this is my one strat that has made it to the original that didn't used to be part of it. So pretty happy about that.
yeah. And those guys hit very hard, so again, there are defensive items, but in a speedrun, we're really taking a lot of risks. And the money routing is pretty tight, so that's the other thing, is the things we're going to buy are calculated for exactly what's going to get through this fast.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, like some of the fireballs there, I think it's for the flowers. I think these guys too. But the amount of damage they do to you is based on your attack points, actually.
Oh.
Okay, so
Kind of
this
strange.
boss can't be sped up, which makes it a fantastic time for donations.
And we've got a lot. We have $333 from Omar Lizard Cube.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
Shout outs to Omar.
Thanks, Omar.
Good luck all, much love. We also have $50 from Hockey Owl, a wonderful game and a great runner. It's been amazing to see this remake go from release to movement optimization to real RNG manipulation so fast. Go Tina. We also have $20 from Apricot Ghost. Had to donate during Tina's run. You rule. Donation goes towards Runner's Choice. And we also have $100 from Pronzo. Of all the nights of not being able to sleep well, glad it was tonight so I could catch one of the most kind-hearted and friendliest runners out there. Donation goes to Runner's Choice. Go Tina!
So my choice is going to be the two games, one controller run. Really looking forward to that one, which I believe is the next unmet incentive since we now have gotten Task Block done.
So we're going to use that key later.
All right, so Ellipse, you might want to start explaining what's about to happen because
Okay.
this is going to get weird kind of soon.
Yeah, sure. So the fish, his ability is that he can swim, but he also has another ability. And apparently this was a glitch that was also in the original Wonder Boy, and the developers intentionally chose to leave this in. And I don't want to really spoil the surprise, but I'm going to say it's something that is harder in the remake because this is a 60 frames per second game instead of 30. So the speed that Tina is going to do some inputs that we're going to see very shortly is very significant.
Yeah,
It's
this,
actually really interesting how she'll do those inputs too, and we'll talk about that. It's different how you can do that here versus in the original game.
Yeah, actually, like in the original, I learned about that bug very late, and when we were redoing this, well, we were like, well, it's kind of a fun bug,
Right.
and so we decided indeed to keep it, even though at first I wanted to change it myself, but Omar decided like, well, no, it makes sense, and by leaving this bug, it created an opportunity for a speedrun just in our version.
Yeah.
Which I find really fun because when we realized it, and we're gonna see it in a bit, but when we realized it, I was originally saying, oh no, we have to fix it. Like we don't want this.
Right,
This
bugs
is
are bad.
ruining a part of the game.
Right. Well,
And-
we are very glad you did not fix it because this is one of my favorite things in this run.
Yeah, speedrunners love it when devs are happy to leave in things that don't break the casual experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
We understand the casual experience, but
Yep.
This is
That's-
definitely a little bit
that's
separate.
exactly what Omar was saying. He was saying like, well, no, that's fine. They found it. Let's just give them
All right,
that.
here we go. So when you change directions in the water, something great happens. You lift up just a little bit. So by changing directions very, very fast, we can fly. So this is the fish fly. This is the inspiration for my outfit today, in fact. And we're going to fly right over here to get that.
so she's not supposed to be able to get access to the bird transformation just yet. You wouldn't get that until much later in the run, but that's one of the unknown sections that when you enter them, they each have their own respective transformation that they're associated with, and since that one happens to be associated with the bird, it instantly transforms you into the bird, which you shouldn't be able to do yet at that point. And so now that we have the bird, everything kind of opens wide.
Yeah, there was like the reason why we forced transformations was actually because of the lizard man level. So the unknown level, it could be accessed by lion man, and there's no way in the game that we can prevent lion man from accessing this, and so that's why we decided to force the transformation as soon as you enter the unknown area. Little did we know that had a huge impact on this.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going back to the beginning of the game where we dropped our equipment. We're going to pick up nothing but the best sword in the game. Because otherwise we're not going to be able to beat a boss and I'm going to be fighting with the wrong character. But that's going to make this a really good time for donations since we're also going to pick up some money here.
Sounds good. We have $30 from Princess Azu. Hey Tina and the amazing couch people. Fellow lurker speedrunner Princess Azu from Normal No Skips here. Grew up with this game and it's fantastic to see it at GDQ. Kick some Dragon Tail, Tina. And very best of luck on your amazing run. Donation goes to Runner's Choice. We also have $50 from Herr Fristy. I'm stuck in this game, and I promised my friend Techie if the part that I'm stuck got skipped, I would donate $50. Now this hasn't happened, so instead I will donate $50 as a thank you for showing me how to proceed. But also for a great cause, because great people and enjoying some fantastic entertainment. Money goes to Runner. Announcer's Choice. Oh, that's great.
So that's the end of the early bird sequence, but because we have the legendary sword, which we should not be able to have access to, we'll be doing much more damage with the mouse character than you normally would on a casual playthrough.
I'm so used to speedrunning 8-bit and 16-bit games from eras that are almost from before I was born, so I don't usually have the opportunity to say this, but I do want to make a comment about this game. It's such a new release that I sometimes worry that someone's going to see it a speedrun marathon and say, well, I guess the experience has been ruined for me. I will say that the speedrun of this game and the casual experience of this game couldn't possibly be more different, in my opinion. And if you think that this game looks beautiful, which it does, sounds beautiful, which it does, or plays wonderfully, which it does, I would strongly encourage you to try it out. It's so much fun to play, and it's a a fantastic game on its own right and a almost perfect recreation of a really classic game that I think at least for North Americans we really missed out on just due to the popularity of Nintendo versus Sega systems.
Yeah, and if you want more nostalgia, there's a button that you can press to turn the graphics to retro, and we did that in order to skip a very short cutscene before bosses. But you can play the entire game in retro mode as well, and the developers did a very, very excellent job making sure that both the retro and modern graphics are seamlessly transitioned.
I actually often play myself with the retro music, just the new graphics. It's getting harder for me to switch back now.
Yeah. Were there any difficulties when you were doing the modernization graphically to make the hitboxes or the animations seem like they gelled with what was happening as far as the retro hitboxes?
Yeah, actually, there was a lot of fighting with Ben, the artist, because he didn't want to respect exactly, like what the original hitboxes were. So it was Omar and Ben fighting on that. I was just watching from a distance. But there's actually some hitboxes that we changed for the bosses. Also for the
I'm going to need to listen for an
Yeah.
audio cue right here.
Nice. It's a
Nice.
very hard one.
Congrats. Yeah, for Lion Man also, basically sword, we increased the size of the hitboxes to match the modern version actually. So it was kind of reverse, but otherwise, no, it was pretty straightforward from my standpoint.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed is that the turnaround animation, I used to actually switch to retro for a couple of rooms for the turnaround animation because it was one frame.
Yep.
Versus the modern animation where there's actually a turning
Yep.
pose.
Yeah, it's actually strange when you watch the modern version and you have the turn animation. Sometimes when the shield is supposed to be on the other side if you want to, but it looks like the character has not turned yet,
Right.
Because it's so fast.
So I should point out that we should not have this character in here. We should be going through this as Lion Man. Everything in here hits like a ton of bricks. So this is a very risky strat compared to casual.
Yeah, you can see that she just had a potion refill, and it only took, what, 1 or 2 more hits to bring her back down to almost empty health again. This whole segment, making it through this this dungeon or whatever you'd prefer to call it, is very difficult casually, but she makes it look so easy.
You can see she just entered a door on the right side here, which was hidden. So the original is famous for having a lot of hidden doors and rooms. And so that's something that you don't necessarily see in a speedrun, but playing casually as you discover that, and that's just such a magical feeling every time. And we actually discovered some secrets while remaking the game. There were some rooms that nobody had found before. That actually Omar was when he was reverse engineering the game, just looked at the data and was like, oh well, what's that? And turns out there was just a hidden secret with a regular chest.
That's amazing. Yeah, I don't
Nice.
know. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice.
So what Tina did there was actually very hard to do, trying to get that loop to interrupt his attack repeatedly, and she made that look very, very good.
I don't know how much more has been added to it since I read it originally, but Blizzard Cube maintained a really wonderful dev blog for this game that has a lot of details about the process of reverse engineering it and trying to produce a faithful adaptation of this game for a modern system. And it's really fascinating. If that sort of thing interests you, I strongly encourage you to go out and check it out.
Yeah, we also included some of the tools in the PC version. So if you enable the editor mode, then you kind of see a bit about all the different little tools we developed just for this,
Right.
which helped us throughout the development.
So what you're seeing now, there's an item we're going to need to go to the final area, and we also, so the Tasmanian sword, which is an optional sword to beat the game, has a really slick ability that you can transform pretty much at will in the air or otherwise. And Tina's going to make that look really cool in the final area by doing some transitions.
It's kind of nice to. It's kind of nice the way they adapted it for this. In the original game, it at least seems from everything that I've read or know that the effect of the Tasmanian sword in order to be able to change your transformation on the fly was really more of a development tool that was left in after the fact. You could only actually do it with a second controller.
Exactly.
But in this game, it was brought to the forefront. You know, they left that ability and really highlighted it properly, which is really nice.
Yeah, we actually. I also changed the fact that you can only use it to transform to the different forms you already have.
Right, right.
And so the original, you could just be Hawkman right away, and that's, I guess, how the world records use it for, like, on the original version. But yeah, we wanted to change that because that was kind of ruining some part of the game.
Sure.
And I think it's pretty nice now. And yeah, I love how Tina just manages to just switch two forms at once like this. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's so effortless, just switching to whatever's needed next.
And we're coming up on the hardest room in the game, so let's have
we
a
have
quiet time here.
some pretty rude names for this room. That's fine.
That's still really
That
good.
was really great.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you get hit in there, you want to get hit by the flower things. And take advantage of those iframes because otherwise the blue ninjas will just hit you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, those are one-hit kills.
I think that's like the one spot in this run that you actually get to see what Lion Man's specific ability is, which is being able to attack blocks beneath him.
Yep.
It's really necessary for advancing in the game, but the one other opportunity that you would have really gotten to see that, she actually used the mouse to be able to do the same thing. So
It's a shame because so Lion Man is the most powerful character in the game with the Muramasa blade. I think that's you max out the attack points there. But
That is not an easy entry.
yeah.
yeah.
There's
Birdman doesn't
Nice.
pull out his shield until he touches the ground, so flying makes you
Right.
constantly vulnerable.
And now we're going to go back to Lion Man because Lion Man does the most damage.
Exactly.
All right, so time is going to be when the cross falls and hits the ground.
And this boss is a little bit of an RNG
Yep.
pain. He can fly around and waste some time for you.
Can actually appear right away, like on you as you start the fight, which is
Yeah.
extremely
So
painful.
time's coming up.
Time.
Time.
That's it. Well done, Tina.
Great job.
What a wonderful run.